Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So today we're going to get an interesting and unfortunately sad video for you guys this evening because in the last 24 hours, the news has broken that romhacking.net is shutting down as far as a repository for fan games and game hacks. And that's absolutely a bummer because this has been a resource for over 2 decades for the modding community and fans that want to play their games in new and exciting ways. I've definitely showcased a lot of different games I've seen on romhacking.net on the channel, and I'm always happy to celebrate fans doing fun new things. So this news is absolutely a bummer that it's going to a database and file archive only, and that you're not going to be able to upload anything new to it, and at some point in time some of the downloads may cease to exist because this site has been used by basically almost everyone. It's referenced in different game news sites all of the time, including Time Extension, which covers a lot of these ROM hacks as well, and it really just is a central database for the community to come together and do fun, cool new things. And if you know me and the channel, you know I absolutely love talking about what the fan community is doing, because in a lot of instances they give us stuff that the game developers in and of themselves are unwilling or unable to do. And I will have a video on Castlemania very shortly. This is another fun ROM hack that was on romhacking.net that I absolutely fell in love with and we'll talk about next week. And to know that there's not going to be a central repository for these things anymore is a bummer, because romhacking.net was just an encyclopedia of excitement. It was an index of all of the fun, cool new things happening in gaming that weren't made by the original developers, and to know that we're going to be losing that absolutely is just not a good time. But the question is, why is it coming down? And there's definitely still a lot of question marks in the air as to why this site can no longer continue to exist, or at least with the original people running it. And unfortunately, this is a tale as old as time. In gaming, there's always some sort of issue. One of the first references the person that wrote the post made was talking about getting so many different copyright notifications. Now, I'm not saying specifically Nintendo's doing all of this. I am just using this video context to talk about romhacking.net. But obviously, recently there has been a rash of DMCA takedown requests for different games, fan games, and the otherwise. It seems like 2024 really is the year of take it down. We're not happy with it. Whether you agree with that or disagree, you guys can talk about it in the comments. Just be polite. But you have to say that this year there's definitely a lot of stuff going on in the takedown request department all across the internet as far as gaming is concerned. And it isn't just Nintendo. It seems to be a lot of different companies getting involved in this sort of thing. And I'm doing this contextually because as we move back to the romhacking.net statement, they specifically state copyright pressures increase dramatically with takedowns and legal burden. And when you have as many games as they have on romhacking.net, not the games, just the ROM hacks, of course every single upload is going to put you at an increased risk of having to take that down or to deal with it. The larger the number, the larger the library, the more instances this thing can happen, because we've seen it all across the internet and gaming in 2024. Takedown requests for stuff like mods that contain Nintendo related add-ons. And I'm not saying again that Nintendo is spearheading this, I'm just saying it's happening all the time. And I've been doing an entire video series talking about how these games keep coming down. In some instances it makes sense, and in other instances it really doesn't seem to make any sense as to why a developer would really care in the first place. And trust me, for every company out there that does care, there's tons of companies that are cool and will not send these takedown notifications out so long as you kind of play nice with them. Stuff like Heaven Studio, just a modification, was removed recently. Even Nintendo's been going after sheet music. So for romhacking.net, trying to actually maintain this library and deal with all of the legality in the background would probably be an absolute double full-time job for people that probably already have full-time jobs. If you look at the ROM hacks alone, there's 8,220 results that I was able to find. That's 8,220 instances of somebody maybe getting mad at you for hosting it in the first place. And you'll see here that other modding sites have been hit by DMCA takedown requests as well. Things such as mods for stuff like Smash Brothers or The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom have been removed from the internet, and I can kind of understand that. These are games that are still on retail shelves, so maybe the makers don't want people going under the hood, taking a peek at the code and starting to change things around. That could make contextual sense even if fans are just modding games they already purchased and loved. But stuff like DKCX Mario, a game I recently showed you, this came from romhacking.net. RomHacking.net. It's how I learned about the game. It's how a lot of people learn about a lot of these games. So would Nintendo or Rare be upset if you took Donkey Kong Country and mashed up Super Mario World characters into it? It's possible. Obviously, it's still on the site as of the making of this video. This is more of an example as to why running a site like this can end up becoming burdensome. Every single entry on that database of ROM hacks is a potential source for somebody to send you a takedown notification, or even worse, try to sue you for copyright infringement. It's possible that they've been getting more of these requests. That's what they state in their news post, but again, I have nothing to do with RomHacking.net. I am just telling you what the information is that is publicly available. There could be things going on in the background none of us know whatsoever. But to know you're not going to be able to easily find this stuff anymore is the biggest bummer involved here, because some of these games are quite awesome. But if we move back to this statement, they also discuss the fact that the increased visibility has become problematic, and that's the reality of projects like this. Sometimes they actually outgrow your original concept and it becomes difficult to maintain and deal with them. And while RomHacking.net has nothing to do with Tears of the Kingdom, this is an instance where I'm talking about increased visibility can draw in more copyright claims. The more people know you, the more you're well known, the easier and the bigger the target on your back gets. Additionally, they talked about some issues within the community in and of itself, and that is not something I touch on the channel and never involve myself in. I'm really not interested in the interpersonal relationships of the people that work on these projects, because trust me, it's a tale as old as time. If you find a group in gaming, somehow you're also going to find some people that are arguing about stuff. It is just what it is. I don't really deal with it here, so we can kind of just move on. But you will see that all of the information has been uploaded to the Internet Archive, minus all of the credits for the modders that made them, and I wish they had kind of moved that information over. But there's so many different fun fan games out there, some that are on RomHacking.net and some that aren't. But RomHacking.net was the central repository for all of this great stuff, and even at this point in time, it seems like their Twitter has gone dark, with no tweet, 0 followers, and 4 followings. Unless this is a spoof Twitter, I'm really not sure, because there was something going on with their Twitter as well, in which they're basically saying the person talking on it was no longer part of the project. It is a little bit inexplicable as to what's going on, but the reality is RomHacking.net is shutting down as far as a ROM hack submission site, and that is a real disappointment. Stuff like the King of Fighters 94 team edit hack that just recently came out, that was on RomHacking.net. That's where a lot of people learned about it, and I did a video on it saying how great it was. And for every game I know about that's going to have a hack come out before it's been announced online, because people do send me this information, 100 people out there are going to find it from sites like this, and that again is going to be something that we're just going to lose. Or something like F-Zero Vintage Velocity. This was sent to me by a user on Discord who sends me stuff he sees on RomHacking.net, and 10 out of 10 times when he sends me a link, the video ends up doing really well in views, and he's been super helpful for the channel. And that's just because he read the news on RomHacking.net, and that's going to be stuff that's going to definitely disappear into the ether, and you're not going to be able to as easily find it, and that is just disappointing. And these are the type of sites that really keep gaming fun alive for the retro gamer, because it's not like we're getting a bunch of new games for vintage systems. There might be 3, 4, 5 new games out in a particular year, but RomHacking.net, after a 20-year run, is shutting down as a repository for all of this information and all of these files, and they state, at least in part, it's because of DMCA takedown requests. Totally a bummer. Leave me a comment or question down below, but otherwise, RomHacking.net had a good run, and hopefully we see a replacement soon. Bye-bye.